Now back to the show. This is The Law Show on CL 650.
Red Robinson and the Diner coming up at noon. We have our final moments with our guests from Westside Family Law here on The Law Show this morning. Mark Perry and Anna Perry are founding partners. You have other colleagues at Westside Family Law. Do you want to put their names out on the public airwaves for us, Anna, please?
Certainly. There's Jessica England, who has been with us perhaps the longest of our associates, and Jill Chapin. And most recently, Patrick Verrier.
Oh, okay. So the firm continues to grow.
Most certainly.
Good. I wanted to talk very quickly to you, Mark, about children. I said, personally, I tend to save my sympathies for the children in cases of divorce and separation. What I am always most concerned, however, about is the safety of the children. They're going through emotional upheaval, the likes of which they never for a second have ever anticipated. So who keeps an eye out for them when mom and dad are at war and not particularly caring a great deal in, unfortunately, too many cases? Whose job is it to look out for the interests of the kids and the kids alone?
Well, I would answer that question in saying really it's everyone's job. Certainly as a family law lawyer, I'm mindful of the interests of the children that are involved in this situation that their parents are going through, that my client's going through.
Sure, okay.
Anna spoke about as a mediator, when you asked her questions as a mediator.
Right, and talking about children's specialists and experts and so on.
That's right.
Okay.
But ultimately, the courts are hyper concerned about the interests of children, and will ensure that the best interests of the children are being looked after.
Right.
The nuanced and the difficult part of that conversation is the perception that parents can have as to what is in the best interest of the children.
Sure.
I mean, when we're talking about children's issues, that's really what we're addressing.
Absolutely.
That different perceptions. Mother saying, the children should reside with me 100% of the time, because that's in their best interest. Father saying, no, the children should be 50-50 or 100% in his interest.
Sure.
That's his perception. And it's really looking at those perceptions. That's what we do. That's what we do. We try to look at those perceptions, bring facts to the forefront to gauge whether that perception is accurate or not.
And this is, Anna, where those individuals that work in parallel with the mediation and collaboration process, the divorce coaches, the parenting coaches, the child specialists, they're essentially advocates for the children in the process, aren't they?
I wouldn't describe them as advocates. Certainly the parent coaches work with the adults to make them more reasonable, child-focused. And it's the child specialist who is definitely representing the child. They come back with the views of the child report, informally, or they can do so more formally in writing. But the child specialist is the one who represents the child. So they're, in a sense, the child's voice.
Right, okay. Do we hear from children at all in the process anymore? Is this, am I guilty of watching too many law shows on TV, Mark? Or
no, actually.
Do the courts actually, or in the process, did the kids say, do they get to speak up at all?
Sure. Actually, in our new legislation, provincial legislation, the Family Law Act, there is an enhanced ability for the courts to receive information from children as to what their views are. Including children being able to swear affidavits, a sworn statement under oath on paper.
Right.
For there to be a views of the child report, which is a report prepared by a psychologist as to what the child's views are. And even for children to appear in court and to give evidence. Often that will be done in the judge's chamber.
Sure.
And in a very
friendlier environment.
Friendly environment,
sure.
Right? But all that's really a trend that we've seen in the last number of years, and certainly our new legislation has enhanced those abilities.
Anna, is there an age at which a child can be asked to participate in the process, like 12, or do we have that established in law, or is it a case-by-case basis and children are brought in as they're able to be included?
I think it's a case-by-case basis. depending on the nature of the child, some children are more mature at an earlier age, and it also depends on the reason for interviewing the child.
Okay.
But judges are now learning to interview children, which is a whole new movement for them, especially in Canada, and it's a quite a focus for the judiciary. That's I think they require quite a bit of special training, because their role is to hear the child, not cross over into the counseling regime. So that interview is very focused and specialized. So there are not many judges who are doing it, but a lot of judges now are undergoing the training.
Let me ask you a question about judges, because would the same judge who hears a murder trial or a corporate merger thing also hear a family case? Or in British Columbia, do we have judges that specialize or dedicate themselves only to family cases? How does that work?
No, we don't. We do not have a specialized family court.
Okay.
So a judge that I might appear in front of last week on a family trial might this week be hearing a murder case.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Now the within the judiciary, the chief judge will assign judges to cases, and certainly I suspect, knowing some judges on a personal level, that they are indicating what their interests are, and they may get more family cases or murder cases based on their background.
Okay, interesting stuff. Well, this has been an incredibly informative hour. The part that I'm enjoying most is the fact that we get to have more hours with you. I'm looking forward to. The family law is so complex. We've barely scratched the surface today, Anna. I do thank you though for helping us through understand at least that it's not always about court, and in fact, court is sort of the last refuge. There are many other highly more recommended processes and steps to take that would get the job done in less acrimonious fashion too, I suspect, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, nice to have you, and we'll see the both of you in a few weeks' time. Thank you so much for this. Westside Family Law, Mark Perry, Anna Perry, online at westsidefamilylaw.ca, and the office is at 1367 West Broadway in Vancouver. That's it for this episode of The Law Show. I'm Sterling Fox. See you next time.